Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Trades. This is Derek Cameron here, and alongside me is Matt Consigli. Matt, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Derek. How was your week?
Not bad, not bad. We got a couple of sessions in this week for the show, so it's great to be able to get back and recording and talking to folks and getting these conversations going again and hearing what folks are doing out there in the world and what they're doing for the trades. So I say it every single week, but I'm excited again for our guest today for a variety of reasons. One, we've been circling each other for months now, probably going back to last year, and fate has constantly intervened to keep pushing this one out. However, we are all here together today. So why am I excited? Two reasons. One, we're going back to PA today. So our adopted city of Philadelphia, or at least our adopted state of Pennsylvania, we are back here again. And second part is we got Plumber Page. So, I mean, what better way to end off the week than having Plumber Page sitting here in the studio and giving us all sorts of knowledge bombs on her world and what she is doing to be a transformative voice and getting more people engaged in the trades and more kids thinking about this. So I'm going to spare everybody the bio on this one. I'm going to let her take that. So without belaboring this anymore, Plumber Page, welcome to Inside the Trades. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. Happy Friday. I know it took a while, but I'm so happy to finally be on the call. So quick introduction. I am Plumber Page. I am an author of 2 books, Plumber Page, Let's Replace a Showerhead, and Plumber Page, Let's Fix a Running Toilet. I am a skilled trades advocate, kind of a trades influencer. I don't even know what all my labels are. Just check me out on all my social medias and you'll figure it out.
Well, speaking of noted author, I happen to have a copy of your world famous original book right here. And I will give you some social proof on this one. My girls love it. They have read it multiple times. And
Aww.
I gotta get the Plumber Page. What is it? Unclogs the Drain, or what's your second one?
Let's Fix a Running Toilet.
Hey,
I
there
can
it
send
is.
you a signed copy.
Oh my God.
For your kids, yeah.
I will never say no to that. So, that'd be
We'll
so
figure
grateful.
that out, yeah.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love talking to authors on the show. We've had the House That She Built crew on, and a number of them, and they have been wonderful. And then knowing that you had created a children's book too, it was just warms the heart, music to my ears, and I absolutely love it. So before we start, I've got a whole bunch of stuff I want to cover with you today. You know, one, you are, not intentionally, but you've been the youngest member to join our show. And I think that's
pretty cool.
I'm psyched. I'm psyched about it because we need a representative voice for our target audience. And I mean, Matt and I, when we started the show last year, our immediate express goal was we have to reach kids. And then the second part of that was kids don't listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, what's the next best thing? So parents, educators, and any other influential voices in their lives. And hopefully that stuff can trickle down through osmosis. So it's all been professionals. It's all been people that have been in the field and educators. So actually having somebody that falls within our target demographic, actually about twice the age of our target demographic, but somebody that falls within our target demographic, it's so critical for us to hear from you and just to hear how you're looking at the world, what you have heard, and how you are trying to address all of this from your platform.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of special because a lot of people don't hear it from someone their own age. So that's my superpower right now is that I'm young and kids listen to me almost as a peer instead of like some 40, 50-year-old man just telling them like, oh, you should do this thing because like you'll make money. Right. They like the fun, young personality that I am. So I got to take advantage of that while I'm still young.
Yeah, not the tired old dude sitting here in his guest room spouting off platitudes. Yeah. So just for the sake of our listeners, I mean, I don't think we really need to dive too deep into your backstory because I think it's pretty well
Mhm.
known. But for the sake of the 5 people that don't know it, can you give those folks a little Cliff's Notes version of where Plumber Page came from and up to
Yeah.
today?
Definitely. So my parents are real estate investors. I worked on rental properties with them growing up. I always was used to working with my hands. I didn't see that as what my future would be, but I went to tour the tech school. Plumbing seemed really cool, and I was like, hey, having a skilled trade knowledge at all, even if it's not what I'm going to pursue, would be nice. So I just wanted to have some skill. I went to plumbing all 4 years of high school, and I became pretty passionate about it in that time. Plumber Page emerged as I was graduating in 2020. I couldn't work for a company, so I started writing books and creating content. And now I have found my place kind of as a skilled trades advocate and kind of trying to close the gap between the kids and, the old people.
Thank you very much for that. And two things on that one. Why plumbing versus any of the other trades avenues?
I don't really know. It just seemed cool. When I was touring the tech school, I think it was in 8th grade, my homeroom was in a science class and I just like felt, I don't know. It was just the vibe. It was the vibe. Nobody in my family was a plumber and my mom was like, "Why out of all the things would you choose that one because that's like the dirty one?" And I'm like, "It's not just playing with poop, Like it's okay." Yeah.
Meanwhile, fast forward 3 years or 4 years later, and they're like, Paige, could you help out?
I need your help snaking a drain. Yeah, always.
Exactly. And, a house full of girls, too. I can only imagine the amount of hair that goes into the drains, too. So you're a rock star now. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is and it's noted in your spot in the Skill documentary, which we'll touch on that a little bit more later. But you had talked about when you'd made the decision to go into the skilled trades program in high school and going through LCTI, there was a lot of pushback from people in your life. One, your mom, and you mentioned, the poop comment, but there wasn't only one. It was, friends, and then your teachers and counselors too are all like, "What are you doing?"
Yep.
Can you tell us about that one?
Yeah. So I was a straight A student in, my years leading up to high school. And I was always like right on that, like, straight A, I got to do perfect. So everybody expected me to be going to college. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought like college was the only thing, but I was like, why? Plus like debt and all of that. So when I saw this other option, I was really interested and I was pretty passionate about it. Like I was excited. And when I get excited about something, I like follow through with it for a little while until I get bored. And I was like too excited about this probably to the point where everybody was really questioning, like, this girl's serious. Like we got to slow her down. And all my friends, they went home, told their parents that they wanted to go to tech school because it looked cool. Because when we toured it, like everybody thought it was super cool. And then they go home and then the next day their parents told them that it was a place for stupid kids and they shouldn't be going there. So then all my friends were pretty negative about it. And as well, I talked to guidance counselors and everything, and they were just not supportive because why aren't you going to go to college? Why do you have to go to tech school? And surprise, I'm doing both. But yeah, there was just not a lot of support from friends because of their parents is what I believe, and then also just teachers. They questioned it. They don't understand. But now they do because they're calling me to come fix their pipes.
Of course they are.
So Paige, I know the answer to this, but we want to hear it through your words.
Yeah.
Why do parents and teachers hate this field so much?
It's really just the stigma, in my opinion, because they love plumbers when they come out to fix things, but they don't want their kids to do it because they want them to have a job that's not going to be hard on their body and they'll make a lot of money. But like the skilled trades can pay a lot as well. And if you're careful and wear the proper PPE, you won't have a terrible body either.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all a status thing.
Yep.
Which is one of, I think, the most dangerous drugs that you can go after.
Status.
So
yeah.
You got to figure out how to break that cycle.
Knowing what the pushback was, and your story is not unique in that you made a life decision that you were excited about, you wanted to pursue it, and when you disclose it, you got the reaction that you were not expecting, probably more vehement than you were anticipated. And you've got to take a step back and be like, wait a minute, I've got to process through this. Did I really make this right decision? So you pushed through that noise and you proceeded ahead. So when you made that decision, what happened after that?
I did find a lot of support once I said I am serious and I'm not stopping. Honestly, if it wasn't for the support that I had going through the, negative feedback, I probably wouldn't have stayed in it, because I'm lucky enough to have a huge support system that encourages me to keep going. My parents and my family were very passionate about just like, do what you want and don't let anybody else stop you. So once they found out that I was serious, they were very supportive. And then luckily I had like one of the best teachers in the world who was supporting me throughout all of this, Kenneth Midget. He was very much a support system to keep me through, like, going through the negative comments and wanting to stay in it. And then once I was in it, he was very supportive and wanted me to excel. So he would help me join competitions and, do all the public speaking things, everything. He was super helpful in helping me grow.
And Ken has been nothing but effusive in your praises, and I completely understand why, and which is one of the reasons why we're so excited to have you on the show today. You really, God smiled down on that one to have a mentor like Ken. So yeah. I'm so glad that he was a presence in your life to be able to go through that decision-making process. Now, tell me about, so as I said, you're not alone in this, and you made it, and it's not like I'm in 8th grade, I've decided I'm just going to start smoking crack, and everyone's like, that's a bad decision. It's like, I'm pursuing working with my hands in a vocation that is in high demand. So it's not like you're doing anything crazy here. And you're not alone in this one. The other young kids that you've talked to, that you've gone through this one, I mean, you've been in competitions, you've been a camp counselor for the construction camp. I mean, what are those conversations like with the kids that you're talking to now that they're experiencing and how they're able to push through that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard for sometimes people to find support, so I try to be that support for them. While I was in school and I had friends and, peers that went through similar things, it was always like there was at least one person who really, usually from the tech school, supported them. And it's good to have the support system, because I think so many more people would have been, following that path if they had someone supporting them a little bit more. Because I'm sure many kids that I went to school with who decided to stay at their home school all day, they told me while we were still going to school that they regret not going to tech school. And they totally could have changed it, but they didn't feel like they had any support. So, yeah, I'm trying to be that support person for people.
Paige, can we go back? So, I asked you half jokingly, half for real, like, why do adults not like this thing? Derek and I, we're old now. We're not in touch with the younger generation.
I'm old, Matt. You're not quite there yet.
Well, I'm in between you two. I'm not young.
Great hair. Great hair.
I do. Yeah. Thank you. Every generation of young people is a little bit different, right? And some are very, conformist. What mom and dad say, I'm going to do it. And other generations come along. It's like, I'll do the opposite.
Right.
What's the current? I'm going to try to be. What's the current vibe?
That's actually a really good question. I think it's a good mix. I mean, everything's a mix. I think we are seeing a little bit more of like the rebel side of people nowadays, which I think is good, because it'll hopefully get some more, non-traditional workers and just workers in general into the skilled trades. I don't know. I like that question though.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I mean, obviously parents have a great influence over young people, but it's not always, it doesn't always go as planned.
Right.
Every kid's different, right? I'm sure it's a blend. I'm sure every kid is different, and some kids are like, yep, mom and dad say I should be a doctor, so Harvard's on the list, and others say mom and dad say I'm going to be a doctor, so screw them. I'm going to go live in a van. Like,
right? That's my
dream. Everyone's different. Everyone's different.
So what were the conversations like with your folks, like before you were like looking to go into a trade pathway. I mean, how old were you when you started having more long-term conversations with your parents or people around you?
I mean, from a very young age, we were always asked, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I never really knew. I tried to find things that I liked doing. So I liked baking and cooking. I thought maybe I would own a bakery when I grow up because our family is very entrepreneurial spirited. So I was always very entrepreneurial and I had like a whole thing going, future leader Paige. I knew that I was like a leader in some way, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And I thought, oh yeah, if I own like my own company and I bake some goods, that would be good, right? I would figure it out. And I still didn't know, a path. But my parents are just very supportive of like, find your passion and do it. And if it changes, that's totally okay. Just like do it 110% if you're going to do it. So yeah, I don't know. They didn't really have questions or pressure me to choose something until I decided what I wanted to do.
And then it was like, wait a minute, you want to do what?
It was a bit of a surprise. Yeah. They were very supportive though, like pretty immediate because they get it. They paid plumbers to do things. So, they were like, okay, great. You're going to be our plumber now.
Yeah. I mean, they're property managers and property owners. So obviously they have a lot of exposure to folks in the trades to be able to do all the maintenance on the property. So I'm guessing that the conversion wasn't that hard. We're asking these questions because these conversations are happening across the country on a daily basis in some fashion. And one of the things that came to mind recently, and I brought it up in a recent episode with a guest, was it's the concept of permission and thinking that I feel like kids aren't getting the permission to really make these pursuits, and everything has just been, we're just going to go the college route, and I get it. I mean, Matt and I both college educated. We're both, 4-year. We've both done master's programs. So we get that line of thinking.
Right.
But I went and it was also far cheaper, and I went to a state school. So the fact that I fumbled through 5 years of college, that's 5. So clearly something didn't quite work out. It was not as costly as it is today, where you're going to Vassar or Sarah Lawrence or something like that, where you're paying 60, 70,000 a year and coming out no idea what it is that you want to do. But everything leading up to that point has all just been preordained because that's so. Going back to the permission piece of this is, where is it that we need to start having these points of, granting permission for kids to be like, what, make these bold leaps or make these bold choices, and we're behind you 100%. And that's not just the parents, but that's like you're saying, like, your friends, educators, and your counselors, like all of those people that are influences in your life. Like, how do we build that in to build these permission structures to be like, it's okay, let go. These kids are going to make these smart decisions. And this pathway of the trades is actually a really smart one for them to pursue.
Yeah. I really like the way you worded that with permissions. I think that's like the perfect way to explain it. My take on it is it mostly is the parents, and I'm not trying to come at the parents, so like take a breath, parents, but the counselors and the teachers and everything, they can't really tell you what and what not to do. As long as you get a parent signature, they're gonna have to let you do it, kind of thing, so at least from what I've experienced, it really has to start with the parent permissions, and it's hard to get that when it's like just dropped on them and then like, okay, next year I'm gonna go to tech school, like help me sign this. A lot of times parents don't want to do that because it's so fresh in their head. So I think starting that earlier in the process and getting kids going home and talking to their parents about it before like, okay, I have to do this next year, that's a good idea. And that's what I'm trying to do, is start them younger age so that it is more of a conversation throughout rather than just immediate, like when it's time to do it. I think parents is a great way to start getting permission, and it has to start earlier.
Yeah, building on that, Derek, like you said, we hit on the theme of permission the other day. I think the corollary to that though is, I don't know the right way to phrase it, but speaking as a parent now, parents don't want their kids to step into the unknown, right? So it's more than just permission. It's like I don't want you to wing it. You know, I don't want you to go do things on a whim. I want you to follow a path that, yeah, like define your own path. It's not my path, but I have more experience than you, and I've been around for a lot longer than you, so I can at least see what the end of the path is going to look like. And I don't think a lot of parents know what the end of the trade path looks like. Like, I literally just don't think that they know. And going back to permission, that then means I don't want to give you permission. You know, I know what the college path looks like. I know what the professional white collar path looks like. All of my friends walked it. And so there's a band of possibilities that my kid is still going to be in, and I have no idea where you're going to end up, but I know what the band of possibilities look like, and there's some good ones in there. Whereas the rest is just a black box. It goes back to there's just a lack of exposure to what a 10 or 20 or 30-year career could look like in the trades for these kids, and it's why they don't have permission to pursue it.
The unknown is scary.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's actually so true. And I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to mention, like, with my involvement in the construction camp, you often see kids are signed up to do it because it's a free summer camp and it's cool to work with their hands. Parents are very supportive of it, but then we talk to them about it and they're like, no, my kid is still going to college. Like, don't get it twisted. This is just for fun. Like,
Yep.
This is an experience, but for the future, because they don't know what it could look like, they're still very closed off and scared about that. That's a really good point.
100%. 100%.
So this ties into something else. So the themes that we came up with this year is, you know, we went through last season and we're like, all right, how do we distill this down and have a little bit more of a tighter focus on where we want to go this year? And we broke it down to education, entrepreneurship, technology, those with platforms, and then leadership. There might be another one in there. I thought I had 5. I counted at 4. And one of the big things is, you know, for the large platform is all the FAANG companies. You've got Facebook, Apple, Google, and they all have the brand. They have just this massive platform that they can just say, we're hiring and everyone's going to run to them. Go to any career fair, those tables are the ones that are all maxed out. So I just pulled some random numbers the other day. There's like 145,000 HVAC businesses in the US, and there was like 108,000 plumbing companies in the US. So they're all spread across the US. So you don't have the Google of plumbing. I mean, you can look at like maybe Roger Wakefield. He's got a great platform on this one, or This Old House. But for the most part, like there's not like this one like big plumbing where everyone flocks to, and when they're going through CTE program, they're like, I want to be part of blah. It's like, right. You're in Wisconsin, well, you're going to pursue that business in Wisconsin. You're in Pennsylvania, you're in, you know, Bucks County, like you're going to pursue the businesses in that area, or one day you're going to create or buy one that you're going to do that. So my question to all this one is, with such a decentralized presence for the trades, like how do you reach kids that are, one, going through this kind of crisis of, you know, not confidence, but this kind of crisis identity of, all right, we're all going to go to the college path. And then there's a portion of them that are like, I'm not really seeing that. You made your decision and you're doing great from that. So how do we take like the other Plumber Pages across the country and then be able to plug them in and create the opportunities across the 145,000 HVAC companies to be able to help build those like vibrant and effective recruiting pipelines?
Yeah. There's a lot that could be done with recruiting, and, you know, people like me is a great start, but oftentimes you see people who want to get into the trades who just want to keep their head down, work on their trade and focus on growing there rather than being kind of like a role model for others. And it's not like they're against being inspiration, but that's not their kind of purpose or their drive. They want to, work with their hands and get their job done. So finding more advocates is, I think, really important for that. I had something else to say, but I can't remember what.
It's all right. Well, we'll just keep yammering on, and then it'll bound to come back up.
Right.
I feel like there's gotta be. I'm gonna go back to like this parent-child dynamic for a second. I think there's gotta be someone out there that sits down with teenagers and they're like, "Hey, let me just explain to you the mind of a parent, because then maybe you'll know what the hell's going on in there." And like, you don't always have to do what they say.
Yeah.
Because no kid has that. Like, when I was 18, I knew nothing about my parents. But if you're a parent, and Derek, you feel free to chime in. If you're a parent, there's like this constant struggle between what do I have to do to make my kids happy? And what do I have to do to make my kids safe? It's like those two things. And sometimes that's one and the same, and sometimes it's different. And let me explain specifically what I mean. When you go to trade school, like you specifically, Paige, when you go visit a trade school, you're like, this looks wicked cool.
Right.
And all your friends say, this looks awesome. That's you being happy.
Yeah.
When you go tell your parents, they're glad that you're happy, but you're not safe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're two different things. And the safe, like not safe in terms of you could get injured. I don't know if it pays enough. Like, I don't know if it's a secure job. I don't know if you can make a live. Like, that's the lack of safety. So yeah, you're happy, but I don't know if you're safe. And that creates a massive internal struggle within every parent. And they're like, I got to pick a side. And I can tell you what, as a dad, probably 100 times out of 100, I'm picking safety. And someone's got to sit down with kids and tell them that that's going on so that they can be an informed part of this dialogue with their parents to be like, which one are you picking for me right now? Because I appreciate it, but that's not necessarily the right pick, and it's not necessarily what I want. And let me explain to you why happy and safe can coexist in this world at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think Coach was a huge part for that, actually, for my parents. He set up virtual calls like this before it was like, well known that you could call people and stuff. He set up meetings and webinars, and he really put it out there for us girls specifically getting into the trades, because the safety part was a huge concern for many parents and just us in general. So he made sure that we were confident and comfortable in our safety within the lab and just going into the industry. We got to talk to other women who have been pregnant on jobs and see how that was for them and know that it will be okay and we will be safe to do that. So I think he was a really good way to show me that I could be safe, and then I could bring that to my parents and say, like, see, there are ways that I can be happy and safe at the same time in this industry.
Matt, are you looking too at both physical safety and career safety?
Yes.
Okay.
Both.
Okay. That's actually a really profound thing, Matt, to look at the safety piece of that, like both physically and careers, and figuring out how, like, both from Paige's platform, from our platform, as an employer, as educators, anybody that is advocating for the skilled trades, how can we create whether it be pathways or assurances that while there may be some rough waters, it's no different than if you're going down the road to become an actuary or systems analyst or claims adjuster from the college route. And what do we do? What are the things that we need to do to be able to what are the things we need to devise to be able to do that? I don't have an answer on that one, so I'm happy to throw it out to either of you guys. But I mean, that's actually, you really hit on something major there.
I try.
44 episodes in, we're finally getting deep. We're finally hitting on something.
But like, I mean, I said it, so obviously I believe it. Like, I think that's it. Like, life is hard. Adulthood is very hard. You have to make some big decisions. Happiness. We're going off the rails for a second. Happiness is bullshit. Like, it is. Purpose, to what we were talking about the other day, purpose is the real happiness. And purpose is a combination of what I like to do, what I'm good at, what is safe enough, but I still got to live with some edge. Like, let me tell you from experience, as the kid who did everything that he was supposed to do, work hard, get good grades, get straight A's, go to the schools you're supposed to go to, get the jobs you're supposed to go to, and hating it, life needs a little bit of edge. You need a little bit of unsafety, right? That's purpose.
Right.
That's different from happiness. Like, and parents need to go through a seminar as well to say, stop choosing between happiness and safety. Point them on the direction of purpose. And that's a really, really tough thing to do. But it's a critical job, because I don't trust teachers to do it, and I don't trust guidance counselors to do it. And teenagers aren't in a frame of mind, like, teenage years are chaos. So someone's got to kind of have that hand on the wheel and say, here's how you think through this. It is the job of the parent.
So true. I remember what I was going to say, by the way. It kind of has to do with what you were talking about, Derek. So like the Google kind of conversation with having that like big one thing that students are like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to this like one big organization, and the trades don't really have that. And I said having advocates like me to be that kind of push. I also, in my speeches, talk about career exploration and different options. So like when you are pregnant and worrying about your safety, and maybe you can't go and be bending under someone's sink, you can go into the office or be like a service call person and help. Like there are different pathways and you can adjust within the trade, because it all requires skill. So I just wanted to mention that like the different options within the same industry is also just a huge importance. And I think that's kind of fun, because when you're in like a big corporation, there's your one job for you and you can't really expand much, but there's within the trades so many different options, you can always be jumping back and forth. So yeah.
No, thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah.
And along those lines too, I read somebody had posted something on LinkedIn the other day, and I thought it was profound, because it's something that I've just been paying attention to for a while. She is a millwright. I don't know if she's a millwright apprentice, but she's a young millwright up in Canada. And she had posted something that she had been going the college route, and she was kind of pursuing that, and was racked by crippling anxiety. And she just felt she just wasn't comfortable with what she was at that point in life. And somewhere along the line, she found out about or learned or was introduced to being a millwright, and she took the leap, pursued that path, and wouldn't you know it, like several months later, her anxiety levels were just severely decreased. And she's very honest, like, it's not like gone, but like I've been able to grasp things much better, and working with my hands has been an incredible thing to do that. Now, I'm mentioning this because, right now, I mean, we live in a world where you're just being held up to every single standard that can possibly be there, with ubiquitous media that you're constantly trying to hold yourself up to what the person next to you as your friends and all that other stuff. And that's just creating incredible amounts of anxiety and depression. And when you look at like what one of the easiest solves for that is just like, just build something. And it's not like you have to pursue the trades. It's just like, just build something. Like do something that you can call your own and have a tangible result that you can at least say, okay, you know what? I channeled my anxieties and, you know, I made this thing. And it just seems to be like we're going to continue going down this path for college. Meanwhile, kids are spiraling out of control and carrying all this anxiety and depression. But you know that these solutions can exist within there by people working with their hands.
That's almost like what Matt was saying. She found her purpose almost because maybe it's not the safer route when you're looking at it like body safety wise or even career wise if you don't understand the industry that much, because it is unsafe if you're going into that. But she found that kind of happiness and that purpose. And I talk about that in the film too. Like everybody is just so used to expectations and they're always on their phone trying to find the like highest level of happiness and whatever. It's all fake. But they think that it's real and they want to be at that level. But like the reality is you have to find something that makes you happy. You have to find your purpose.
Let me ask you this one then. You know, speaking of, you know, holding yourself up to a level. I mean, you're now Plumber Page. I mean, you've got a brand. Like you've established yourself and you're in a documentary and your star is rising and it's hopefully rising very high and you'll be there for a long time. But like, I mean, how does that feel when you're going from being Paige Knowles and being a teenage kid and when working your way through the decisions of a plumbing program and then going into construction management and now you're Plumber Page? Like, I mean, how does that feel?
Yeah, it's a really weird transition that I'm only now getting used to because from the time that Plumber Page was created, it was one and the same. Paige Knowles and Plumber Page it's the same thing. Like I just have this interest and I had this purpose that I wanted to share to the world. But now it kind of is like two individual things because I'm my own person experiencing things other than just career stuff. And then Plumber Page is more career focused. And, you know, there are some gray lines still, but it's really weird to be like an inspiration and an influencer and an advocate in one department. And then like, I'm still just this normal Paige Knowles girl who goes to community college and like has friends and there's drama. Like, no, I should be like, everybody's like, oh, this girl's in Sundance Film Festival. Like she's like up here, but then I feel like a normal person other times. It's a really weird balance and I'm still trying to figure it out.
I mean, you seem to be balancing it very well right now. And you know, any other child stars out there, you know, maybe you can go into a consulting practice and be able to help with some of the life coaching for that.
Right.
Matt, what do we need to hear from Paige?
I mean, we covered a lot of it, right? I think it's just, I mean, Paige, credit to you to be like being the relatable voice.
Thank you.
You know, because again, no one's gonna listen to us. But yeah, I don't know if this belongs in the pod or not. Like, my advice to you would be to echo to people what I said. Like, here's why adults say what they say.
Yeah,
they're not
it makes total sense. Like,
they're not trying to be a pain in the ass. Like,
yeah.
And a life of safety is a parent's dream. It's not a child's dream.
Right. They want to be happy.
Right. So they're in conflict.
Right.
And young people don't know that.
Right.
Young people do not know that. And parents don't know that. Like, no one knows that we're going after different goals.
Right.
Almost always. So I think, you know, you being and having the voice that you have, sharing that to your community, I think is helpful. And then me and Derek telling all of our parent friends, like, you're fucking up. Also helpful. But yeah, I don't know how we summarize that, but
I thought you recapped that very well. So you've been on the speaking tour. Now you've got your film credit to your name, and you've got your books as a noted author. Have you seen an impact that this has had? I mean, have you been able to see results on this?
Yeah, I used my sister as my first success story, but I can see from volunteering at the camp to the books being enjoyed by younger people. I definitely am starting to see the impact. And when I do speaking engagements to like middle schoolers, they have the ability to reach out, and they're still like kids in a sense because I'm impacting them, but they also like they'll DM me and be like, "Hey, you really helped. Like hearing your story has helped me make this decision." And kind of I was in two different pathways and I didn't know which one I wanted to take, and all that kind of stuff. It's cool to see the impact that I have on people, and I feel like I'm just getting started. I've been blowing up in Canada for some reason. Like all the kids are interested in me there more than around
It's
here.
always
But
Canada.
I was going to say, well,
Canada.
I have some thoughts about that. And part of that is that Canada's just eating our lunch when it comes to advocacy and programming and actually putting their money where their mouth is and
right.
trying to build pathways to the trades. And there's a lot of lessons to take away from what our friends up north are doing. And I hope that we can take those lessons very soon. But yeah, they've been incredible. I was joking about Pennsylvania being our adopted state. But Canada is quickly closing the gap on that one. I mean, we've made a lot of friends up north over the last year, and it's been incredible to see how much programming and advocacy has gone into the educational pieces of that, helping cut some of the hurdles on apprenticeships and just getting the word out and just incentivizing people to want to get into the trades.
Right. They're doing a great job.
So in addition to all of your numerous activities, what's the next chapter, or what's the life looking like in the next year or two?
I don't know. Usually that question scares me and I don't want to answer it. I've become more comfortable with it now. There's a lot of possibilities, and I was so scared of that question before because I felt like I didn't have credibility, and there was always this quiet voice in the back of my head that said you can't say that you're involved in the trades if you're not going to go be a plumber and work for the man. Now I have found my path more as an advocate, and I don't feel like as much of an imposter. So I'm really trying to take that role fully on yet. And once I do that, just continue spreading the word. I think it would be really cool to create kind of shows or programs for kids and adults or older people to be interested. I need to reach everybody, not just one specific age group. So I think that's my goal, is just to be able to become more accessible to people. So, but public speaking, I really want to ramp up on, just have a tour. I want to reach everybody, not just locally, which I have been focused on right now, or calls up to Canada. I want to go everywhere and just spread the message, and then also focusing more on content, which has been really hard for me because it's hard to stay consistent when you're doing a whole bunch of other things full time. But that I think that's the big goal right now, is to just fully take on the advocate job.
Please keep doing that, because we need to hear your voice often and everywhere. What are the platforms that you are focusing on right now as far as social media goes?
Yeah, Instagram has been where I've been focusing the most, but I think I'm going to transition my focus to Reels, TikToks, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels, those videos. It's really where the focus is right now. And then on top of that, it'll redirect them to YouTube videos or maybe some streaming platform to have longer bits.
Yeah, I think, when you're talking about wanting to get your voice out there and be able to speak to a much wider audience, you're definitely hitting on you're definitely hitting on channels that are going to be able to amplify that very easily. All right. Well, and the invite to come back is always standing. So we want to hear from you again. We want to see you on the show again. So the door is always open for being able to come on the show and let us know what you're up to, or just to share what life is looking like from your corner of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Matt, any final thoughts here before we let Paige head off through the weekend?
Thank you so much, Paige. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, it's awesome work and paying off. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's Matt so succinctly put it. I mean, nobody's going to listen to us on the under 20 front. So being able to have an advocate that looks like the people that we're trying to reach is crucial, because we're looking at a serious issue coming down the lane in the next couple of years. And the only people that are going to be able to save us are you and everyone that's coming behind you. So,
Right.
having you out there and being able to be an effective advocate and an effective voice for the benefits of this is really, we can't overstate like how important that is.
Thank you. It was an honor being on here. You guys are amazing, and I loved the conversation that we had. I can't wait to be on here again because I know it will happen in the future.
Yeah, doors always open. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean that. So looking forward to having that conversation again. All right. Well, another one in the books, folks. It's Friday, so have a wonderful weekend. But for Inside the Trades, this is Derek Cameron and
Matt Consigli.
And Plumber Page.
all right. Have a good one, folks. Take it easy.
Take care.